Hi everyone, and welcome to the Red Brick House. So today is my last Christmas ornament that I'm slow stitching. I have had so much fun making these, and today I had picked a Christmas tree, and I want this to be just simple and just a very nice slow stitch methodical kind of piece of work. And so I hope you have enjoyed these videos that I've been bringing you. I've had so much fun making them. And let's get started stitching a tree. Okay, I've already got my little tree here cut out. So this is just a paper template that I just kind of looked at other pictures and drew my own. You can find free images all over the internet though, if you need to access one of those. What I had originally done is I folded my paper in half and I drew it on one side, and then I cut it out, and then I had a symmetrical shape. And so here I have two pieces, like a front and a back right here. So I'm going to take the back one and put it to the side for right now, and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to decorate this one. I'm going to leave the other piece, like the back side, I'm going to leave it plain. Now you could decorate both sides and then sew them together if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. I don't like the way that this one looks here. This one looks really funny right there. That does not look good. Maybe it'll look okay once they're stitched together, but that one, I don't know what happened there. So that one will definitely be the back side because it looks a little wonky through here. But I'm not going to worry about it. So we're just going to get stitching on this. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to use a stem stitch, and I want to do a line of stitching kind of like straight up this middle to kind of give myself an idea of where I want my little like pine needles to go, because that's what I'm going to stitch on here. So I'm going to get my needle ready, and I'm going to do some stem stitch right up the middle. Okay, I'll just show you this up close. So I just went straight up the middle, and I didn't mention this, but I am using all 6 strands for this thread, and this is just stranded cotton embroidery floss. I'm going to tie it off now, and so now I kind of have a midpoint of my tree, which I don't really have to have, but I'm just going to do it just as a guide for myself, because I'm going to be adding some, like I said, some pine needle-y kind of things to give this little tree some texture. I really love this color. I just think it's really, really pretty. It is, let's see, I can tell you, it is DMC 3859. It's just a very antique rose, dusty rose kind of color. It's really pretty. Okay, So now I'm going to take the same thread, but I'm going to take it out of here and separate it. And I'm going to do 2 strands. Okay, I got my needle ready. And I think I'm going to start from the top. I'm going to turn it upside down. And I want lines curving out like this and coming down. I'm going to kind of try to follow these lines here. We'll see how that looks. I kind of want to cover up this stem that I put in the middle here. So I'm probably going to do a series of straight stitches and maybe some stem stitch just so that I can get a curve, but I might not need to. I might be able to just kind of bring them across, but I do kind of want them to have a curve to them. So if I have to put a stitch in the middle, so I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Let's see. So I'm going to come from this point and I'm going to come across here. So let me put it there. I'll start as a straight stitch. And then if I need, see how it's a little too straight. So I'm gonna loosen that up and I'm gonna push that that thread back, and I'm gonna put a stitch or bring my needle up just slightly behind these 2 points here. So it'll just be just slightly behind it. That way, hopefully it'll give kind of a curve. I don't want it to be like bent, so let's see. That's not too bad. So see, it'll kind of be like that. So that when you turn it right side up, hopefully it will look like that. So it'll just kind of give a bend. Now we'll have to tack that down on the other side so that it doesn't go anywhere, I think, before I start making another stitch. So I'm going to come down on the other side of that thread there to kind of just lock that in place. There we go. So we have a little bend there. Now I'm not going to do that with all of them. I'm just going to do that with some of them. Some of them I will have a straight stitch. Like, let's try to do like a little small stitch here. Kind of like that. I might actually like the straight stitches better. I'm not sure. Just going to keep stitching across here, different lengths of stitches. I may just end up doing straight stitches across here instead of trying to have them curve. So I'm just going to kind of do something like that on each side all the way down. Okay, I'm really liking how it's looking. I'm almost to the end here. And so at first I didn't like it when I was doing it up here, and I think I was getting it a little bit too thick. And but I really like how it's turning out. So all I'm doing is just a series of the straight stitch, and I'm just staggering them around. I'll kind of do a few here with you because in the beginning I wasn't sure how it was going to look, but I've been doing just different straight stitches, and like right here I'm going to do kind of a fly stitch, just a very vague fly stitch to give a little curve there. And once you get quite a few of those going, it doesn't look so sectioned out, you know. And also I realized that I was kind of pulling it a little too tight and it was looking bent, but if I kind of just go over it with my thumb like that, and then it would look a lot better. And then if I had a gap like right here, I'll just come in right there and I'll just fill in that gap with maybe a straight stitch. And I'm just staggering these stitches as I go because I don't want them to look uniform. I want them to look very random. So kind of like, you know, tree branches would. Even though this is a fantasy tree, but it's still going to be, you know, like a conifer tree. And I really kind of want this, you know, this kind of like, I don't know what you call it, needles, pine needles, because they don't really have leaves. So anytime I have a gap like that, I just fill it in. I may go out here, trying to get kind of close to the edge. See, I have a gap there I don't like right here, so I'm just going to fill it in. And that's all I've been doing this whole time. It has taken me a while, and it is taking a lot of thread. Just know that if you do something like this, it is taking quite a bit of thread to do this. But I like it. I'm having fun with it. So I'm just going to work my needle back up here and do some more stitch work. And I'm just going to keep going until I fill in this space. I've also been coming up in the middle where I had that stem stitch, where I did kind of a midline. So now here I'm going to do this little fly stitch. But I've been coming up in here because, like I said earlier, I don't want it to be prominent. I don't care if it can be seen. I kind of wanted it to be seen, but at the same time, I didn't want it to look, you know, like my stitches started on this side and then my stitches started on that side. I wanted it to look like it was kind of growing out of the middle. And so I've been doing that a lot, where like this, I've been coming up right in the middle of that stem stitch. Sometimes over to the opposite side too, to kind of help blend it in with all this stitch work that I'm doing here. And I will wait till I almost have that thread straight, and then I'll put in that little stitch. That way, because you can change the curve on these. That one's kind of curved in the middle right here. But if I do one, I did one earlier and I was realizing that as I went, because I'm kind of a beginner embroiderer, and so I don't have a lot of experience. But what I realized is that, like right here, I'll do one here. So instead of coming up here and doing my stitch here, so my bend would be like in the middle, I'm gonna bring my needle like up closer here. So then it'll make my bend will be kind of up here. And sometimes that looks a little nicer. See, like that. So instead of it being bent in the middle, now it's kind of bent up here. And so I've just been playing around with that. And then I'll just fill it in with some straight stitches so that it doesn't look like I'm doing kind of a pattern of any kind. I want it to be very random here. Okay, now I'm going to work on this bottom little trunk here, and all I'm going to do is put in some random running stitch. So I'm just gonna kind of start right here. Honestly, hold on, before I do that, no, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. I'll fill that in a minute. So I'm just going to start at the top of this trunk and they're going to be very small little running stitches, just to give this trunk a little bit of texture. It's very plain now after I've done all the work up there. And I'm going to try to do very small stitches, but it's kind of hard because it's such a small area to work on. I think if you did a variegated thread through the middle of this tree, it would be really pretty. to have different colors in here. I think it would be really, really pretty. I'm going to kind of stagger these running stitches. I don't want them to be symmetrical. I'm thinking of like bark on a tree. I'm painstakingly doing one at a time because, well, it's just easier. I got too much thread, as always. I always have too much thread in my needle. I never learn. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I get some texture on this little tree trunk. It won't take very long. And then we'll move on to decorating the tree. I'm so excited. It's going to be really cute, I think. I hope. Okay, I got the little bottom of the trunk done. Just a few little stitches in there. So now I'm going to start decorating the tree. And I wanted to put some little garland on this tree. And I looked through my ribbon. And I had a ribbon that was actually fraying. And this was coming out of it. And it had already like come out a lot. I didn't even realize it. I'm not even sure when that happened, of my little bundle of ribbons. And so I just had this and I thought that is long enough, and it's a nice color and it's a little bit shimmery. It kind of catches the light. And so, but it's thin enough that I could get it through this tapestry needle. So I'm going to just come up here and I'm just going to lay this crisscrossed across my tree. So hopefully, hopefully it will look, that will work. I almost thought about couching it down, but then I just kind of decided that no, I would try to stitch it in. So, ooh, I don't even have a knot in it. Hold on. And it wants to curl up on itself really, really bad. So I don't know how hard this is going to be to work with, but I'm going to give it a try because I just thought, oh, that would work. So as long as I can stitch it, it will work. If not, then I will have to couch it. But it looks, so far, it's going through the felt okay. I think if I wasn't using felt and I was using something else, it would be probably harder. Okay, so now I have to decide where I want my garland to go and how straight I want it to be. I don't think I'm going to mind it being straight. I think I'm going to put it there, and then I think it will come across. Then I think I'll go probably like there. So I think I'm just going to be doing straight stitches and just kind of zigzag it across this tree. I don't want it too close to the edge because I do need room to stitch my two pieces together, because I am going to stuff this with some stuffing like I did my bird ornament. If you haven't seen that video, it turned out really cute. I'm really liking it. And I've just put a tiny bit of stuffing in there, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So I'm not going to overly pull it. I want to pull it too tight, but I'm just going to do it like that. Then I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to come back up beside it. If it will not, it keeps wanting to tangle up on me. I'm going to come back up, and then I'll decide where I want my next one to go. Maybe if I hold it back here, keep it from tangling up. I probably should have cut a smaller piece of it, but I didn't know how much I would need. Everything I tried to piece on here was just too big. I mean, it wasn't big enough. It wasn't long enough. So I didn't want to cut anything off of this until I finished my project. Okay, have that tacked down. Now I think I'm just going to come over here to this side. I think it's looking really cute. So I'm just coming to the edge of my, where do I want it to come? About right here. Okay. It has been so much fun making these. kind of want to do a couple with my daughter. That would be cute too. I just had this up here and it was kind of curling around. Wouldn't it be cute if you did just like a little curly, you know, just like curled it up like that and did it like that across there? Oh, I like that too. That's really cute as well. So be creative with your projects, you know. Sometimes little accidents like that kind of like give you an idea to do something else. And I love it when that happens. But I'm just going to go ahead and stick to the straight since this is already straight. I don't want to start doing a curly one now. But if I do another one of these, that is definitely a possibility because that's really cute. Okay, so I've been looking through my sequins and I have a few different things here. I have just some traditional sequins that are gold. And then I found this one, but I only found one of this one, and I only found one of this one, but I thought they looked perfect for little ornaments. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use them or not. I might. I found several of these. So I have three or four of those, and they're all kind of iridescent looking. And then I found this, and I thought this would be a cute tree topper. It's not a like traditional 5-point star, but the only star that I have is this one, and it's just really too small, I think. It would go like this, because I have the holes right there. I may even glue the top on. But see, I think it might be too small. I don't know. It looks too small to me. This looks kind of bodacious. Look at that. Look at that. So I don't know which one I'm going to use yet. I may try and see if I can find something else. But I'm going to add on some of these little sequins first. These little just plain regular round ones. And so I'm going to come up, especially anywhere I think there's a gap in this thread. Whoops. I just have one string of embroidery floss here. You could use sewing thread. But I'm going to come up through my fabric. And then I'm going to take my bead and I'm going to go through my bead. You have to make sure that your needle is thin enough for the bead to slide, for the sequin to slide through there. Okay, so now I have my sequin right there where I want it at. Hi, Azriel. You sniffins? Be careful because I have a needle right here. Okay, then I'm going to just go right down beside it. Almost kind of behind it. Okay, and now to keep it from flipping up like that, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to treat it kind of like a button. And I'm going to go through the middle of it again. And I'm going to go down on the other side. And that will just hold that in place. You could do a third time, but I don't think it's necessary for this project. And I tried really hard to match my thread with the little sequin there, because I did want it to kind of look the same. So I'm just going to add a few more onto here and keep going, and I will come back after I have all of my little tree decorated here. And then I'll figure out what I'm going to put on the top. It might be that little tiny star, because I don't think I like that other star. Okay, here it is. It's all done, except for the top. I'm not going to put the topper on yet because I want to stitch it together first. So I put the back side on here and I pinned it down together. And I'm just going to stitch around. Now, because mine is a little wonky, I'm going to have to be careful around these edges that I make sure that I get that stitched down properly. But I'm just going to start, I think I'm going to start about right here, and I'm going to go around, and then I'll probably stop about right here so that I can put the stuffing in, and then I will put the topper on. But when I get up here to the top, I'm going to put in this wired ribbon. I did this in the last video. This is just a really thin 1/8 of an inch ribbon. It's gold. It's beautiful. I got it at, where did I get it? Michael's? I think I got it at Michael's. And so it makes the perfect little hanger. So I'm going to take a piece of that and I'm going to sew it in the top. So when I get to the top, I will stop and I'll show you how I do this. So I'm just making very small stitches here. And I matched my thread. I have 2 threads in my needle. I matched the embroidery thread to the felt the best that I could because I really don't want it to show. But I'm going to make really tiny stitches, and I did it again. I should have came up in between these 2 layers of fabric if you didn't want your knot to show. But I forgot to do that again. So I'm just going to kind of trim that off a little bit so it doesn't look that noticeable. But anyway, I'm just going to keep going around here doing just a basic running stitch. Probably do it just like one at a time. So it will take me a bit of time to get this together. I want small stitches because, and I have quite a bit of thread in here because I'm hoping I don't have to stop before I get to the other side. But you want really small stitches because you don't want your stuffing to show through or anything like that, to poke out or anything. And so that's why I'm doing such small stitches. I'll do one more and then I'll show you up close so that you can see it better. There we go. So see right here I have 2 little stitches right there. They're very hard to see, which is what I want. So I'm going to keep going around, and when I get up here to the top, like I said, I will stop and show you how I put my little hanger in. Okay, so here I am up at the top. I've left a little opening here, and I'm going to put in my little hanger that I'm going to make. So I'm going to take this ribbon, and I'm just going to, you know, kind of measure how long I think I need it to be. I'll give myself a little bit extra, about like that. I'm going to cut it off. Now I'm going to kind of fix it and reshape it here. First I'm going to kind of pull it flat, and then I'm just going to pull it kind of like that. I think that is a good size there. It's almost as long as my hand. And now these tails are too long, so I'm going to trim them. And I also want it to be a little more narrow here because there's not a lot of space at the top of this tree. So I'm just going to cut it an angle on both of these. Probably shouldn't be doing this with my fabric scissors because it does have wire in it, but I have a sharpener, so I'm not terribly worried about it. Okay, so with a steady hand, I'm going to try to work that in there. Now because this is felt, it might get kind of caught on there, I'm not sure. So I think instead of trying to maneuver it in there, I'm just going to pinch it and kind of push it in there like that. But I want this crisscross to be here at the top of my tree. So it's going to be very fiddly. I want to make sure that I get that stitched down. So I'm going to take my needle And I'm going to tighten up my threads because they got a little loose when I was doing that. So I'm just going to tighten them up a bit. And I'm going to come up here. And I'm going to make sure I can see in between here. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going into that ribbon. But I still want a nice stitch here on the front. Might take me a couple of tries. There we go. Move all this stuff out of the way so my camera's not focusing on it. Okay. There we go. I think I've got it secure now. Now I'm going to go back into that same ribbon again. Right there. And take it to the back. Still holding it very tightly because I have this other ribbon in there that I want to get stitched down too. And so now I'm about to get that one. So I can see right there that I need to go straight through right there. And I can go through the top of my tree, and I can also go through that ribbon as well. So now it should be pretty secure, and I'm just going to keep on stitching down the other side of the tree. Okay, now I'm all ready to stuff. I just have some polyfill fiber filling here, polyfill. And I'm just going to put just a tiny amount in here. I don't want a lot, just enough to give it a little bit of a puff effect. Now, I mean, you wouldn't have to use this. I already had this on hand. I did not go out and buy this for this project. I only use this polyfill whenever I need like a lot of it, such as like making a big pillow or a stuffed animal or something. Making little things like this, I just tend to just use my leftovers. What you could do is you could use your leftover threads. I know a lot of people like to do that, and that's a great idea, like leftover yarn, little leftover bits of thread, and you could stuff it with that. Here where I live, we don't have like wool filling that I think you can find wool batting, but it's kind of hard to find here in the US where I live. And so we don't always have easy access to stuff like that. And so a lot of times, even though it's not my favorite thing to use because I don't really like acrylic and polyester so much, but that's what we have available. So that's what I'm using. And I think you should always just use what you can, do your best and use what is available to you. There's no shame in that. And so, okay, I think I'm all done here. So now I like it because it makes my little ornaments pop up. It makes them look like more natural. I don't know, I like it. Okay, so I'm just gonna stitch it together. It is kind of puffy. Maybe it might be a little too puffy than what I had kind of originally wanted, but I think it'll close up just fine. So I'm going to continue stitching along here until I'm all done. And then I will come back, and I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to take that little sequin star and I'm just going to glue it on with a tiny dab of hot glue. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't like using hot glue because I live in Texas and it's hot in the summers, and all these things are going to go into storage, and typically they get stored in an attic because we don't have basements in Texas, because we have rock in our soil under the ground. It's rock. We live on top of a rock. So it gets really hot in the attic. So sometimes that hot glue will either disintegrate or sometimes it will melt. I've never really had it be a terrible problem. For me, my decorations are not in our attic anymore. We have them in boxes on shelves in our garage because it was just a pain. As you get older, you don't want to be climbing upstairs into an attic to get all your decorations down. So we kind of made that switch last year. So hopefully the garages get hot too, but maybe not as hot as an attic, I don't think. So anyway, I'm gonna keep going. I'm almost done here, and then we will decide what I'm gonna do with my tree topper, and it'll be done. Okay, it's all finished. I decided against the glue, and I actually just sewed it down right there at the top. The reason I had wanted to glue it is because I only had one little hole in that sequin to get it on there, and I didn't want it to look like upside down or crooked if I sewed it down here. And so, but what I did is I just lowered it down, because that's where my tree, the stitching for my tree started, was right there. And if I had it up too high, it looked weird anyway. So I just brought it down to the back. And what I could have done, I didn't do it, but what I could have done, I might be able to do it if I was very careful, but I might be able to stitch off a little bit of felt right there and right there, and that wouldn't show at all, but I think it's fine. So I really think that putting this holder, like whatever you choose to use here to hold your ornament, I really think it's best to put it in while you're stitching, because it, instead of doing it afterwards, it just adds, you know, it just looks more nice to me that way. Also, the way I did this, I love that I found this wired ribbon, because sometimes you'll have ornaments where it'll go through this direction, and then you put it on your tree and your ornament constantly turns this way. It turns sideways. So I'm really loving this wired ribbon here. And placing it that way, so you can just place it directly on your tree like this, and then it will stay in this position, because like I said, I did not decorate the back. I will show you the back. It's just a plain, you know, back of a tree. I tried to make the stitching nice around it. And so I'm happy with how it turned out. Let me know what you think of this, and if you'll be making any of your own ornaments this year. I hope you've enjoyed these videos. So like and subscribe if you want to see more content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.